ADHD and perfectionism go together like wine and cheese, as in they are deeply enmeshed, and in some ways a match made in heaven or hell. They really support each other because there are two main aspects of ADHD that are related to this. Number one, the difficulty in prioritizing, in deciding what is or is not important. That lends directly into not knowing to what extent something should be completed to. We don't really know when something's done or done enough to leave it alone, or done enough to get the grade, or done enough for the purpose. We can't quite tell. We're not good at that filtering. The other thing is that our minds are so powerful that it's so easy to think of every single possibility, possible interpretation, possible answer, and they're all so good, and I got to do them all at once because I'm also time blind and I've all got to do it all right now. And if you've experienced perfectionism in a, I'll say pathological sense, you'll know it's agony. When you want to be done, but you can't, because a part of you, little gremlin, can't let go of something until it's perfect. Oof, that sucks. Now, because this is such a common thing in ADHD, and because I am an ADHD coach, I encounter perfectionism all the time in my work, and also I've dealt with it a lot because I have ADHD. It's fucking everywhere. And I'm constantly trying to think of new ways, new approaches, new different things that I can say or do to help people not be victims to perfectionism quite as much. Something I've been doing lately myself that has been having significant yield is, look, there's two parts to this. Number one, acknowledging that maybe decent is good enough. But that's not enough. Often we might want to just be aiming for something that's kind of all right and good enough, and we'll try to put it in, but a part of us will go, oh, no, I got to do a little bit more, just a little bit more, and then all of a sudden this thing that we wanted to just kind of get a good enough grade in or whatever, we've accidentally turned into this masterpiece because we couldn't let it go, and it's also 3 days late, and we hate ourselves. So we might want to just do something that's a little bit or not quite as good, or not aim for the super high mark, but it's not quite that easy. And so here's what we actively need to do. Because we can't just decide from now on, oh, I'll just stop doing the thing. That's what I talked about in my last video. I can't decide to just stop infinitely refining. I can't decide out of nowhere to just hand the thing in. I need something else to do, a specific different action to take. And here's what you do. You practice the act of handing in something that is below your standards with the aim of experiencing the discomfort of that. Now there's some directionality to it. Now you can hand something in that's below your standards because you have a reason why. And when you go, oh, I don't want to do this, you go, good. That's exactly why we're doing it. I'm learning, I'm growing. Awesome. Let's submit this thing that I'm not proud of. Because the issue generally is that our standards are too high. Not that they're wrong. It's often okay to have high standards. In many ways, it's very good. But when pursuing those high standards is meaning you're compromising other areas of your life, maybe you're staying up way too late, or you're getting really stressed or burning yourself out trying to perform at this impossible level, well, if that's what's happening, then the standards being too high is a problem, and they must be lowered. And how do we do that? Well, actively. We actively do a thing below our standards, and having done so, realize actually, and I survived. I didn't even die. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it is safe to put something in below my standards. Fascinating. And then often we'll get more positive reinforcement. Well, I put something in below my super high standards, and actually I got quite a good grade. Definitely good enough. How How about that? And I was way less stressed and got to attend the birthday party that I usually wouldn't, because I'd just be like in a maze of caffeine and regret. But wow, maybe that was okay. Maybe it's okay to submit some things at a slightly lower standard. Now, I can see that my analogy, my metaphor has blended more and more into the context of academia, but that's because it's a pretty universal thing, and also it's a very common thing for my clients. It's harder in uni, because when we are unsure of what standard to submit something to, well, if we get it wrong, we'll just get a bad grade, and that's a permanent thing, and our lives will be over. Whereas if we do a shit job at work, our boss just says, fix it. And we do. So it's easier. I mean, I'm generalizing, of course. The final thing I want to say about this before sending you out into the world to start doing things at a lower standard and therefore making your lives way better is, of course, to use this carefully and with respect to your individual context. If you are in a degree, or trying to get into a degree, such as medicine, which is super competitive, and your grades are extremely important, and dropping that 1%, unfortunately, not to add to your pressure or stress if this is you, but that extra percent could be the difference between getting into med school this round or needing to do a whole lot of extra stuff to get there. It matters. So if that's you, yeah, you probably in your context should be trying to push for every teeny tiny percent. But if that's not you, and it's not a lot of us, then you don't need to try so hard. And I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it is a useful point. If you're just looking to pass, and that's all you need, you don't need the high grades for whatever you're going to get. I'm fully into the academic arena at this point. But coming back, if all you need in your degree is to pass, which let's say it's 61%, which it is, or 60 or 61, whatever, which it is for lots of degrees, and that's all you need, then if you get a 65, well, you screwed up. You put in more energy and effort than you required. That was inefficient. That was wasteful. You're dumb. Isn't that a concept? The idea that if I get too high of a grade, well, that means I did too much. Well, that's silly of me. Doesn't that change the game? Rather than constantly aiming for, the HDs, the perfect, the top mark, and killing ourselves to get there. That's not necessary. Then that's really dumb. And we can illustrate that even further by taking it to the other extreme. And again, that's just for illustrative purposes. Don't aim for 61% probably, because if you miscalculate, you might fail. Don't do that. You should aim a bit higher. But the point is, you don't need to be aiming for the 79, 80, 85, whatever, if all you need is a pass. You just don't.